Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy here and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and I finally got the Nike Zoom GT Cut 2.0 in, and this is my first impressions look on this shoe. So I got it from Asia, right? And I was looking on the Vietnam Nike site and it was going for how much? 5 million Vietnamese. I'm not 100% sure what the currency is, but it says it's 5 million of it, right? And converting that to US dollars, it's $213, which is weird because the first Zoom GT Cut was only 170 bucks. So I don't know what's going on, right? I don't think the shoe's gonna retail for 200 bucks. That would be absolutely insane. My best guess is they'll probably keep it the same exact price as 170 bucks, just like the first iteration of the shoe. But anyways, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box. Hopefully this shoe will be coming out soon, but let's get it started off with the tracciones. And this traction pattern is really weird looking, right? So here in the tip of the toe and also here in the midfoot and heel, we got some like pointy arrows for the traction pattern. And we got some really small ones as well, which does worry me for durability. And then here in the forefoot, you know, where you put a lot of force and where you want the traction to be good the most in a basketball shoe, we have like a herringbone traction pattern kind of, right? And I've never seen grooves as deep as this. Like, look at how deep it is. It's so crazy deep. So I feel like durability is going to be good, but like I said, I am worried about like here where the arrows are super small. They're basically like nubs, right? And then here in the midfoot, it says Air Zoom. So yeah, how does the traction feel? So on my wood floors, it feels all right. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like amazing so far, especially comparing to the first one. But it seems pretty good, and they're calling this the smear traction pattern, right? It says smear traction 1.0 right here. That's a weird name, smear traction. What smear? I feel like, you know, the word smear, you just like smear. I don't like that word. You know what I mean? But anyways, so yeah, I was a little bit disappointed, you know, as far as the traction goes, but it doesn't seem terrible right now. There is a little bit of a squeak as well. So yeah, there is the outsole there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition. So overall it feels pretty smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice rounded or curved shape up, right? Look at that. So we got a nice rocking motion, and also it is a drop in midsole, but we have foam, which I very much like, right? Like for example, here in the Kobe 9, right? There is no actual like midsole, right? It's just plastic, you know, plastic. So it's like, it's pretty clunky, you know what I mean? Especially if you're doing heel dominant strides down the court. And that's something that I didn't really like all too much. I mean, it wasn't a huge deal. It wasn't a deal breaker or anything. It's just me nitpicking. But I do like how the Kobe 8 feels a lot better because we do have foam and it feels a lot softer, right? So that's what it kind of reminds me of here in the GT Cut 2.0. And then here in the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape. And look, we have very nice flex here in the forefoot, right? But also it seems like there is a plastic midfoot shank plate right here, right? It looks like it's exposed. Yeah, it looks like it's just plastic right here. So torsional support also does seem pretty good. So overall heel to toe transition feels great. And now moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup is really crazy, right? So of course, just like the first iteration of the shoe, we have a drop-in React midsole, and it is full length, which I really like. And bottom loaded here into the heel, we have a very small hexagonal zoom unit, which it feels very nice because even though it is bottom loaded, it is React foam, and React foam is really soft. And usually, as you guys all know, shoes use strobo boards, right? But the advantage of using a drop-in midsole in a setup like this is that your foot can be right on top of the foam, and you can feel the React foam very easily, or whatever foam they're using for the drop-in, and I really like that. So in my personal opinion, I feel like, you know, all shoes should have drop-in midsoles. You know what I mean? But anyways, also we do have this like felt kind of material for the lining right here. It's like a sock liner, and it gives pretty good grip, but it is glued down, so you don't feel the React as much as like the first Zoom GT Cut, which I don't like as much. And as you guys can see, I mean, it's pretty thin though. The React is actually pretty thin. And then of course, underneath that, we have a full length Zoom strobo unit, which is crazy. crazy bouncy, as you guys all know. And there is a cloth over it. I don't know what Nike, like what makes Nike put cloth over zoom strobo units, like full length zoom strobo units. You know, there's some, you know, setups where there is no cloth and you can see the actual unit, and there's some setups like this one where there's a cloth over it. I don't know like why they change it up, but you know, pretty much feels the exact same. One thing that I don't like about the cushioning setup, however, right now is the court feel. The court feel doesn't seem very good. It actually feels pretty high up off the ground. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they added the extra foam here, right? They added the extra foam, and then they put the full length zoom strobo unit, which makes you a little bit higher up off the ground. And then we have the drop and react. So maybe all of that combined makes me feel a little bit higher up. So I don't like that as much. But of course, it's extremely crazy, right? So you have react right underneath the foot, which step and cover is very nice. And also you have the heel zoom unit, which is very nice as well in the heel. And then you feel the crazy compression from the full length zoom strobo unit, which you'd be like, how do you feel it? You know, like because you have this foam, you know, in between your foot and the zoom unit, but react is soft, you know what I mean? And also, like I keep saying, it's not super thick, so you can still feel the zoom unit, and there's a lot of compression and a lot of bounce. So it's a great setup. Just the one thing that I don't like is the court feel right now, right? So there is that. Moving on to the materials. So yeah, that definitely is a downgrade as well. So we have basically some screen mesh, right? And screen mesh kind of comes from the forefoot and goes into the midfoot, and there's some like stitching over the screen mesh. It kind of looks like, I don't know, it got ripped or something, right? I guess, you know, that does make the material like super thin. I mean, it's really thin, really thin, but it feels kind of like cheap and a little flimsy, which I don't like. And also underneath that, you guys can see this like blue material that does look like webbing. So that definitely probably does help with support and probably durability as well. And also here around the tip of the toe, we have some more of that kind of like stitching or overlays on the screen mesh for extra durability. You know, of course, that's definitely a good thing. So yeah, I like how it feels on foot, I guess, overall, but like, it looks cheap and it kind of feels cheap in hand, which kind of sucks, you know, because definitely this is not going to be a cheap shoe. And then for the tongue, we have like an average amount of padding. It's a very large tongue as well. It comes up pretty high on the ankle area. And also this tongue is an independent tongue, which I don't like, right? Most modern shoes, like most of them have a half booty construction tongue, which I like. There's two advantages of that as well. So the first thing is that it keeps the tongue in place, right? So independent tongues, they move around while you're playing, right? So that definitely is an advantage. And also it gives you a better one-to-one fit as well. And also another thing that's kind of annoying in independent tongues, which I guess is three things, is that like this material, it kind of like folds in on itself a little bit when I try to put it on. So I have to constantly fix it and go like this when I tighten the shoes, which is also a little bit of an annoyance, right? So I wish they would have just gave us like a half booty construction tongue, but that's just me nitpicking, right? And then here in the ankle area, we have like an average amount of padding, I would say, but it's more like on top of the ankle collar, which is a good thing. It'll help with heel lockdown. So overall, this material feels very minimal on foot. And also, I guess like supportive as well. There's like really no stretch to this screen mesh, right? But like I said, not the best for quality. And also here in the heel, we have like a ribbed material. It's kind of like a felt, which I don't like. And then also we have like this part, right? This like, it's kind of like a plastic, I guess an external TPU heel counter kind of, right? But it kind of reminds me of that villain from Toy Story. It's kind of like Buzz Lightyear's arch nemesis, I think, if I remember correctly. That's what it kind of reminds me of, right? No? Am I tripping? Anyway, so there is the material there. Moving on to the fit. I went true to size. It's a very snug fit, right? So my toes go pretty much right to the edge of the shoe, which I like. It like kind of like touches, which like my big toe touches right here. So that, I don't know how I feel about that right now. Hopefully my toes don't bang into the front of the shoe. But you know, it is a very snug fit lengthwise. And also it is a pretty narrow fit as well. So do be careful on that if you are a wide footer. And here in the toe box, it is a very snug fit. So overall, it's a great fit for me because I like to have a snug fit. But if you want a roomier fit or you have a wide foot, probably go up half a size or maybe even a full size. All right, as far as the support and lockdown goes, I feel like it's gonna be amazing, right? So that's also another advantage of drop-in midsoles, right? So let's take this out again, right? So if you look at the actual midsole, we can see that there is a little, like a rise here, right? And we can see the React foam coming up. And although it is like pretty soft and flimsy, that'll definitely help with containment, right? It starts here in the forefoot and goes all the way here into the heel. And your entire foot is kind of like held into that, right? So that definitely does help. And of course we have this material. And like I said, this material feels very supportive. There's no stretch to it. Here in the midfoot, I guess like this part, this like foam, I guess, comes up to act as a sidewall. And also we have the swoosh to like stiffen up the material a little bit. And also here in the heel, we have a lot of crazy stuff, right? So we have this heel counter, we have this felt material, it feels like. So lateral containment feels like it's gonna be good. And for lateral stability, no crazy outrigger, but I guess the outsole does protrude out a little bit. So I feel like lateral stability is gonna be good as well. All right, moving on to the weight of the shoes. So I feel like it's gonna be kind of heavy, honestly, right? So if you guys didn't know, the Kobe 8s and the Kobe 9s are super light. This is like 8 ounces. I mean, this has the full length zoom unit in, so it's 9.91 ounces, but it has the Nike ID, like the full length zoom unit, you know, with the drop in. Let's check the Kobe 9. This is also like very light, 11.11 ounces, right? But I'm guessing this is gonna be like pretty heavy, like 13 point something. Oh no, it's not. Okay, so 12.5. I don't know why it feels a little bit heavier than, I don't know. It's weird. But 12.5 ounces is actually around average. That's actually exactly average weight. Let's check the actual upper, right, without the midsole. So 10.44 ounces, and then the actual drop-in is very light, probably like 2 ounces, right? So yeah, I was actually kind of surprised, 12.5 ounces. But yeah, there definitely is a lot going on underneath your foot, right? So you have like all of this, like the plastic, the foam, the React, and the Zoom Strobel unit. So it definitely feels very, very bottom heavy. And also like the smear traction and just how thick it is. Also, I feel like that adds to the bulk a little bit underneath your foot. Like I don't really like how that feels all too much. I like to have more of a balanced weight, you know what I mean? Like if the upper is minimal, I want also like the midsole and outsole to be a little bit more minimal feeling. But this shoe, the Zoom GT Cut 2.0, definitely feels very bottom heavy. But I feel like it'll be a responsive shoe though. You know, traction seems pretty good. Cushion is responsive and bouncy, although court feel isn't great. And support seems like it's gonna be good as well. So there is the weight there. Moving on to the aesthetics, I really the first one looks way better, but I guess the second one isn't bad, right? It just looks like a running shoe, you know. I mean, this colorway isn't bad either, but definitely is not my favorite as far as aesthetics go. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, it's feeling pretty nice so far. Maybe it's because like I have like very high expectations of this shoe because the Zoom GT Cut, like the first one was so good, and this one's feeling not as good. Like the traction's not feeling as good. The cushion is a little bit higher up off the ground, which I don't like. I guess those are like the only things. I guess the cheaper materials, but I mean, it feels pretty nice on foot. So I'm not like super let down, but I'm a little let down, but that definitely isn't a bad thing because I still feel like it's gonna be a great performer. But from my first impressions, I don't like it as much right now as the first shoe, right? But anyways, that about concludes my first impressions of the Nike Zoom GT Cut 2.0. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.